Are you ready to
Well,
roleplay as...
yes, I am. And let's dive right into it because I have no idea how long this will take. Maybe it'll take an hour, maybe it'll take longer. So far, the prequel sessions have varied quite a bit in length.
Really?
Yeah,
What have they
Lars
ranged
took
in?
about an hour. Severus took about an hour. Zenius took about 3. So, yeah, we will see.
I know Yogi messaged me afterwards and he was like, "Dude, you gotta watch my session. There's so much lore."
There was a lot, yeah, a lot of stuff happened.
I know, I'm so excited.
All right. So, let's pull up. Let's change up the music a little bit. And then let's, boom, boom, boom. Ooh,
Now,
no, not that one.
How
Yeah.
does like stat blocks and stuff work if I was a younger character?
You're going to be making a lot of decisions. I would be shocked if you roll more than like 5 or 6 things during the session. So,
Got it. It's
yeah,
mainly
we'll
just
cover
like
it
the
then.
role-playing capacity. Right?
Yeah, because one of the things, yeah, for a lot of these prequels, this thing happened. Like, it had to happen. So,
Yeah.
the second you introduce a role, there's a chance for failure. So, it has to be something that isn't consequential. It can't be like, oh, you just died in this prequel session, because that obviously doesn't make sense. So,
Yeah.
yeah, there's not as much roles as usual. I'm gonna do this one. Okay, so you barely remember your parents.
Yeah.
You have 2 memories that cling to you of them. Your
Hmm.
father touching your face, calling you Elene, or lovely in Sinvalin. The next memory you have is of sickness, the scent of sweat, and crying. You crying. You think about them often. The other children in the orphanage remember more of their parents. Cassius was raised with his parents until he was 8. Agrippina until she was 5. They all remember their faces and the life that they lost. But for you, St. Lucretia's home for the unfortunate has been your home your entire life. Mistress Latalia is all but your mother. She taught you the language of your parents too, though she did not have to. You believe in your heart that if she had only had to raise you and not 30 other children, she would be the best mother ever. And yet, as you play amongst the rocky terrain outside of Ravinia, you are sorely aware of the fact that she has no time for you. Esme! You hear the high-pitched cry of Pacentia. She's only a year older than you, but significantly taller. You look up. The 2 of you had been looking for rock butts, small little beetles which curl into balls when you touch them. Pacentia has one in her palm. Look at how they curl up. That's so weird.
Can I poke it?
Yeah, you poke it and the little beetle rolls fully into a ball. She says, "Oh my gosh. Any luck?"
Finding what?
Well, I don't know, anything cool. We only have a couple more hours out here.
I found some cool rocks.
I guess that's something. Then you hear the clinking of distant metal and glance up. About 200 meters away on a nearby road is a column of soldiers. They're mostly young men. The only older man is one who looks maybe 20 at the front of the column. They're all tall and dressed in chainmail armor. Pacentia looks at them in wonder. Come on, let's follow them to the city limits. I'd like to hear what a real soldier is like.
How old am I in this?
You are 11.
And am I scared of the soldiers?
I think that's up to you.
Are you sure we should go?
Well, I mean, yeah, I want to see what they're really like. We see the parades, but it's going to be different talking to one.
You want to talk to them?
Yeah. I mean, look at them. Look how old they are. They can't be much older than us. You sort of look at her and right. I mean, the people in the back, they look like 14, 15. They're not that old.
Are they cute?
It's hard to say. They're mostly covered up by helmets and armor.
They could be cute, maybe.
Sure.
Yeah.
Pacentia will drop the rock bud that was in her hand, and it'll sort of just scramble away off into the rocks.
Well, fine. This is more interesting anyways.
The 2 of you guys begin to jog over. The column is pretty spread out. It's maybe over 100 feet. There's 7 soldiers, and Pacentia begins to run towards the soldier in the back. He's young. He looks 15, maybe 16. He doesn't even have the peach fuzz of a beard yet. And as you guys approach, he sort of glances over and says, "Oh, well, can I help you?" And Pacentia, who was the one who, she was very excited to come over here, but now that the soldier is actually addressing her, she sort of shies behind you a little bit.
Hello.
Well, what's your name?
Esme.
Esme. Well, that's a lovely name. And what about your friend? And Pacentia sort of pokes her head over your shoulder. Pacentia! My name's Pacentia! He says, all right then. Well, what are you up to?
We're finding bugs.
Finding bugs. Well, how have you been doing in that regard?
We did good. Do you have any interesting stories you could tell us?
I was only just conscripted. My name's Vernus. Conscripted. Well, east of here, a lot of very good people are being killed by some pretty horrible things, and not a lot of people are volunteering to fight them, and so me and the others have been called up to the east and fight it. I was a tradesman. I worked in a smithy, but now I'm here.
Like, you're fighting monsters?
Well, we haven't fought any monsters yet, but I think I'm going to get some training, and then hopefully kill some. He's trying to sound like, you can tell he's trying to sound like prideful, but he definitely seems nervous about the prospect of doing any fighting.
Ah, that's cool. You're gonna fight monsters. Very cool.
I think so. And you've been following alongside Vernus as the two of you have been talking, and you realize that this is the furthest you've been from the city. You're already sort of on the edge of that boundary when you're looking for rock bugs. Normally, you just play within basically the shadow of the wall in the gaps between farms. But here, you look back and you can't even see the outline of the city walls. Pacentia still seems enamored with Vernus and seems to have no intention of returning. And before you can say something, a sharp shout passes along the column of soldiers. The man at the front shouts, "Halt!" Pacentia scrambles backwards as all the men stop in unison. "Right face!" The shout seems to ripple across the column of men as they turn. Your gaze follows it. It follows the soldier's turn, and you see it. The deadwood. You've been so preoccupied speaking to Vernus and how far you are from the city, you didn't realize how close you'd gone. It must be only a couple 100 feet to it. The trees are just so dang tall. Black bark and leafless. It really is scary to look at. "Start to make camp!" The shout echoes, and the men break ranks and become a disorganized mass headed off the road. Pacentia sort of taps you on the shoulder and says, "We should stick around. Ask, the older man. He'll probably have stories of battle."
I don't know, this is kind of creepy.
What are you scared? They're just trees.
But we're not supposed to be here.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. You have to be brave.
What time does it look like it is outside?
It's probably just like 2 or 3 in the afternoon.
Do I have any idea of when I'm meant to be back?
Nightfall.
I guess just for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
I mean, we're with, the military men, so if anything happened, they would just protect us.
Pacentia nods. And the two of you guys go over to Vernus, ask him what he could use help with, and you begin to collect sticks for firewood. And after you bring back some sticks, Pacentia approaches Vernus and says, "So, can we hear stories from the other soldiers?" And Vernus looks down and he chuckles a bit. "No, I don't think you can. We need to make camp and eat some food, and before you say anything..." Vernus keeps talking, but your gaze moves past him to the woods. You're not even sure what got your attention. And then you see it. You feel your body freeze. There's something in the woods staring out at you. It's a face. But you try to speak, to tell Pacentia but you can't. There's a skull in those woods, its eyes glowing green, staring at you. Then, you feel something splatter on the left side of your face. Everything feels like it goes slow motion. Your eyes move to your left, and you see an arrow embedded through the cheek of Vernus. He's screaming. Pacentia, though she has no injuries, is screaming as well. The arrow is came in at an angle and seems to be behind Vernus's right eye. That eye bulges outward and floods red. Then you feel your heart pulse. What do you do?
I turn around and I run.
All right. In a single motion, you just begin to sprint away, just not even focusing on anything else. You hear sounds behind you, shouts and other things, but that's not what you're focused on. Your feet pound forward. You're barely even aware of them. All of your effort is focused on moving. Your heart pounds, your lungs burn, but they're all secondary. And then your body freezes. It doesn't feel real at first. Then you see Pacentia sprint past you. She looks back and pauses. Esme! You try to move. Your arms simply don't. You just want to move. Your hand refuses.
Can I speak?
Nope, paralyzed. Then you see Pacentia begin to turn. She's gonna run. She's going to leave you. And then she just stops. Her body is frozen. Only her eyes can move. You hear the shouts and gurgle groans of fighting behind you. Then you hear the sound of footsteps. Something approaching. Someone. Your eyes flick to the edge of your vision. It's a man. He's in black robes and a black cowl over his head. Only his face is visible. It is a sickly pale. The veins beneath are deep black. His eyes are so deeply recessed into his skull that he almost looks skeletal. He reaches a hand out and touches your face with a finger. Every muscle in your body flexes to get away from him, but you don't move. He looks from you to Pacentia. You girls look like physically healthy specimen. You should do just fine. Don't worry, you'll be okay, as long as you don't fight back. You are pretty certain that he's lying. He raises a hand, and you feel a skeletal hands grip you. They are impossibly strong. And if you could scream at how hard they grab you, you would.
Jesus.
And then, you would end up spending 6 months in a cell. You'd begun to name the various corners of it. Your roommates in the cell changed frequently. Even Pacentia was taken away for experiments and never returned.
Wait, so who was I sharing my cell with at first?
It was just you and Pacentia to begin with. Then there were older men brought in, fighting-age soldiers. They spoke of horrible things which broke into their homes at night, killed their families, and took them here. Each story was, a nightmare in its own, but as you heard story after story that were pretty similar, it all just sort of began to mesh together. You didn't understand why you were never picked. Every day, that man who had originally taken you, Hieronymus, would come into the cell and survey the stock, as he called them. He would overlook the cell, his eyes always resting on you, and then he would pick someone else. You were always hungry, and you didn't even have the faintest idea of how wretched you must look after this long without a bath. Then one day, the scenery changed. A gruff man, who you know now to be called a blight caller, moved you from one cell to another. Your new cell was smaller. No others were brought in. That is where you rest now. There is no window, only a banded iron door. The walls around you are organic, tree roots as far as you can tell. A single glowing orb is suspended in the air at the center of the cell. You touched the one in the previous cell. It didn't burn you, though you sort of wish it had. You've been here for ages. The only way you've been able to track the 6 months before was that they brought meals at regular intervals, but now your stomach is pained and growling, and there's been no meal brought.
So, in my mind right now, I would be convinced that finally I've been chosen and that they're probably going to kill me.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go by my bed and pray.
Okay. You approach
that's all I can really do. Like, I would imagine that I'm a little 11-year-old girl.
Yep.
And I am starving, and I've watched people disappear. And now I think that it's my time, and I think I'm just gonna go into a long sleep. I don't even know if... will I have, like, an idea of, like, torture of what they've done to other people? Have I seen
You've heard
that?
screams echo through the dungeon, but no one who's ever been selected has come back, so you don't know what it entails.
Yeah, I'm just going to pray for strength, and to be with my mom and dad again.
Okay. You go on to the straw mat that is your bed and pray. A few minutes pass, and then you hear the sound of the door opening. You glance over, and on the other side is a short man. He has pale and blackened veins, and pale face and blackened veins. He wears brown robes rather than black, and he has slightly tanner skin than Hieronymus. He looks at you and says, Zaitan, stand up.
I'll stand up.
Come with me. You're going to
I'll
be
stay.
undergoing an experiment.
I'll stay in my place for a moment.
He
I'll
looks at
look
you.
down at my feet, but I won't look up. I'm standing up.
Yeah. He begins to take a few steps outside the cell, and you can, even though you're not looking up, you can tell he's staring at you.
Are you going to kill me?
Not if you survive the experiment. Your death or life will be up to the strength of your body.
I will probably be trembling. And I'll nod and then walk forward. I assume, have I seen what they do to other people if they don't comply?
There was only one man who's ever said no. It was an older fellow, maybe 50 or 60. He'd been told to go, and he had tried to hide behind you and some other young boys. And Hieronymus had simply raised his finger, and the man had begun to rot, like, in real time. He'd gone from a somewhat healthy 50-year-old man to a rotting, decayed corpse within a few seconds.
Okay, definitely then. I will be trembling in fear, but I will nod and slowly walk towards him while... Do I know any... I grew up in the orphanage. Do I know any prayers, even if they don't make sense at this time?
You know plenty of ones to Aurelian Soul, begging for his light to protect you and his faith and, all sorts of stuff.
Can I just... I'm imagining, like, right now, I'm not a religious person, but if I was in a situation where I was about to die, I feel like I would just start going, like, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. That's like a straight up, like, desperation.
Yeah, as you begin to step out of the cell, just staring at the ground, you begin to focus on all those stories they told you back in the orphanage. It's funded by the church, so they told you all about the tranquiline halls which await you in death as long as you worship Aurelian Soul. There is a paradise that awaits you, and you take a few steps forward. This necromancer, who you personally have not met before, seems pretty uninterested in your personal struggle, and he just continues to walk forward. And you move across the wooden floor. Other than the one time you've been relocated, it's the first time you've been out of a cell the entire time you've been here. The walls and floor are all made of this sort of it almost looks like living wooden material. And as you walk past another door to your right, you hear muffled screams from inside. And even though you're looking at the ground, you can't help but see dried blood present on the edge of the door frame to that room.
Am I able to actually, once I leave the cell room, look up and be very observant of my surroundings?
Yeah, 100%. You begin to look around, and you are in a long block of doors, not dissimilar to the one that it's basically the same as what you saw when you moved from one cell to another. Everything down here seems to be designed almost to look very similar. And there are 16 different doors in this wing of presumably this prison. The one that you came out of, that door is still open. There's plenty of closed doors. However, you see there's another open door in this hall. Inside, there's fungus covering every surface. There's little, fuzzy ones, but also full-sized mushrooms. And in the center of the chamber is a corpse. The corpse seems to be the origin of the fungi, with, tubers growing out of the ears and the eyes, out of the mouth. And the necromancer who is guiding you looks into that cell as you glance in and say, "Ah, yes, a fine piece of work."
Is that what you're going to do to me?
Probably not. I think he would die almost instantly with that. He just continues forward, and you see, standing at the far end of the hall, two teal glowing eyes floating in the darkness, and as you get closer, you see it as a skeleton wearing plate armor with a glowing halberd. And the necromancer raps his knuckles on a random door. There's nothing that seems to distinguish it compared to the others. And then he opens it up. Inside, you see a chair, a small table, and a glass bottle with teal liquid inside on the table. The necromancer points towards the chair. Sit.
I will go over to the chair and sit and shake.
He closes the door and begins to mutter under his breath, and you watch as this teal wall of arcane magic appears along the door, and then he sits down in a chair across from you and takes a small notebook out of his pocket and begins to write in it. Your age?
11, I think.
Half-elf, correct?
Yes.
Have you ever experienced rapid magical growth?
No.
He takes down that answer, and then you see movement in the doorway of the cell. The door handle begins to move, and as it finishes opening, you see the familiar balding features of Hieronymus. Ball, what do you think you're doing? Your captor turns towards the door. An experiment with a captive. There's a silence as the two stare at one another. The power struggle is very obvious. Hieronymus speaks up. She has been earmarked as a special valuable captive for me. If you harm her in any way, I speak to Plutarchus. It will rule in favor of me. Ball stares at the door. His posture is aggressive. You see him even fiddle with a small pouch at his waist. But then his shoulders slacken. Fine. Mark her cell better. She'll be used by one of the others if you don't. Hieronymus pushes past the man who brought you here and grabs you hard on the arm and begins to pull you out of the cell.
As soon as I leave the cell, like the door closes or whatever behind me, can I just like hug onto his leg and cry?
Yeah. He will continue to pull you until you've moved past the open cell with a rotting fungal corpse, the several closed doors with screams inside of them, and then once you're back in your little cell, he'll toss you inside and say, "How foolish could you be, going with some random man like that? You could be dead if I didn't happen to walk by."
Sorry.
Oh, God. That experiment would have just... Well, you could have had a chance of surviving, but there's fates worse than death.
I didn't know. I thought I had to go.
He just stares at you for a few moments. Then he slams the door to your cell shut.
Wait!
And you're alone again.
Wait, he doesn't like come back when I scream out wait?
No, he does not.
Oh, God. So now in my head, I'm wondering, it seems like an act of kindness that he saved me from whatever experiment that was.
Yeah.
And it almost felt like, I don't know, like my dad saving me from like a terrible fate. But at the same time, him saying that I'm marked as a special captor, in my head, the fear part is like, is it going to be worse?
It's a fair question.
Yeah, a special captor as in like, it's going to be worse than the fungus girl or boy or whatever.
Yeah, you couldn't quite tell what that corpse was.
Can I see it from here, from my cell?
No, there's no windows. There's no way to see out anywhere. It's just
There's bars though, right? No, it's
no.
completely closed.
Yeah, it's completely closed.
Oh.
Yeah, so all sense of time is
creepy.
Yeah. Weeks pass, probably weeks. You're actually not quite sure. Hieronymus himself delivers your meals. You haven't heard any voice except his in weeks, definitely weeks. What have you done during the great times of solitude? There's straw mat in your cell, but nothing else.
Am I able to make toys with the straw?
Certainly. You don't really have much to bound it together, but there are creative ways to use straw to make things, yeah.
Can I like try and bind the straw together with the straw and like, even if I have to like braid things, try and make little straw men, and I'll try and use my imagination with it. Maybe I'll make some straw tiaras, but at the same time, I'm going to be very try to be conservative with my straw use, so that I can pile them all up as a little pillow at night.
Okay. Well, today is a normal day then. You're in the process of making a small little doll. It's meant
Straw
to be
horse.
a straw horse, okay.
Yes.
And then you see a light. You blink to make sure it's there. In the overpowering sensory deprivation, you have hallucinated in the past, but you are as certain that there's a light orb floating in the top of your cell, which provides light, and then in that corner, there's a small little mote of light. It's small and vaguely human shaped. And then you see the light unfurl. A small woman, no taller than 2 inches, that looks to be practically made of light, flits around the corner. She has small little wings.
She's small. Like how small?
2 inches.
Like a fairy.
Yeah.
Can I whisper really quietly? Hello?
She looks towards you, seems a bit surprised, and flits over to you. She'll try to land on your knee or your palm, wherever's the safest landing spot is.
Are you real? Am I imagining you?
I think so. Are you real?
I think so.
Oh. Well, that's nice.
Can I get a closer look at her?
Yeah, you bring her up to your face. She has... It's all hard because she seems to be practically glowing, so making out the underlying features is difficult. But she looks young. She has a little skirt of what looks to be maybe grass, and a little sheath of bark around her chest, like sort of like a tube top made of bark. And she has like tiny little leaves in her hair, though you've never seen a leaf that small. So
Are you an angel? Or
no, fairy. I heard a traveler once call me a pixie.
a pixie? Do I know anything about pixies?
You vaguely remember the mistress back at the orphanage. She told you stories from your homeland, and one of the stories that they had about them was that in the land of Athel Lauren, where true elves continue to live, pixies live everywhere. That's the only real mention of them that you remember.
And among normal people, do people generally believe that pixies exist?
Certainly. They're seeing it in that class of, like, creatures which live in ancient woods that you should probably, despite, they seem pretty harmless, but they almost never are.
Ah, I see. How come you're here? How did you find me?
Well, this is my home. What are you doing here?
Look around my cell. The cell is your home? Did they take you too?
She shakes her head. No, no, all of this is my home.
All of what?
All of Athel Kenway FL.
Alpha Canea. Wow.
Athel Kenway FL. Yes, these woods.
Oh, do you know how to get out of the cell? This one right here.
Well, of course. I can simply fly through it.
Oh. I wish I could fly through it.
She looks around. Do you like it here?
No. I am half elf. I used to live in an orphanage, and these people took me. They kidnapped me, and I've been held here with other people, and they're doing experiments, and I think that they're killing people.
Oh. Yes, of course. You're one of the guests of the Necromortis. Well, that's lovely.
No, we're not guests. We're not guests. Did they tell you that we're guests?
I suppose. I don't get what the big deal is about all of you, though. You'll all be dead in less than a century. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Worst case scenario, you're here for another, what? You look young. 90 years, and then you'll just pass away.
That's a long time for me.
Maybe it'll feel that way, or maybe not.
Well, how long do you live?
Well, forever.
Like forever and ever?
Unless something kills me.
Well, if something was for sure going to kill you in 100 years, wouldn't it still matter? What happened in the next 100 years?
If I knew something was going to kill me in 100 years. Well, that'd be horrible.
It'd be really bad, right?
Yeah.
Well, they might kill me like tomorrow. Like they almost killed me today, I think. Um,
Oh.
and it was really bad. And I could, maybe you live for a long time, but you get to maybe there isn't a limited amount of time. Like you don't know. Have you ever lived to like 1,000,000 years?
Well, no.
Well, then how do you know that you won't only live until 1,000,000 years?
Well, because the older ones say so.
Yeah, but are they 1,000,000 years old?
She sort of puts her fists on her hips defiantly and says, I don't know why you're trying to scare me like this.
Well, I'm just saying that I think that it's valuable, that everyone's life is valuable, and I would like to not die personally, and I think that that's important to me.
That does suck.
It does. It sucks really bad.
Hmm.
I wish I could live forever like you.
There's ups and downs.
Do you have any magic powers?
Yes.
Do you have magic powers that could get me out of this room, or get the other people out of this room?
No. The Necromortis would not let me come and go as I pleased if I started freeing all their guests.
Wait a minute. The Necromortis can hurt you. I thought that you were, like, immortal.
Unless something kills me.
Wait, like you could, like, get stabbed or something?
Most certainly.
They could stab you. That is so cool. But they'd have to have, like, a really small knife.
I suppose so. Their magics are what concern me a lot more. When, there was a man named Karul who came into these woods, I don't know, a while ago. And, I saw him kill an entire family. Of pixies, of course. He simply raised his hand and they withered just away. The life just left them. It's a rare thing seeing a pixie die. I've only seen that in one other incident.
Wait. But you're still okay with them being here if they killed a whole family?
Oh, they'd kill much more than a family if they were allowed to. Plus, the old men of the woods say that we need to be friends with them.
Why?
I don't know. The old men, they know things. They speak to the woods.
I just want to go home.
Well, she shrugs. I suppose you should pray then. Pray to the gods, the dead gods, the future gods, and the old things of the earth.
I have been.
Oh, I'm sure someone will eventually come. The gods are just a bit slow in these things.
Do you know them? That they're slow?
No, I've never spoken to a god. I've spoken to some of the old things of the earth, though, and they take a very long time to even have a single thought.
Do you think that the old things of the earth could help me?
Potentially, if they're awake. I could ask
How do
around.
you know? That'd be so good. I would really appreciate that. I'm really scared. And have you seen things around here? Do you know who's still here?
What do you mean?
I had a friend that I came in with a couple of months ago, I think. Pacienta? How do I pronounce her name? Oh God. Pacentia. I haven't seen her in a while, and I'm just scared that she's...
Oh, she's young like you, right?
Yeah. But
it would be bad to tell you that, what happened.
You know what happened to her?
I happened to be in the cell when they did an experiment.
What did they do to her?
She looks towards you. Her expression softens a little bit. And then you hear the locking mechanism on the cell door begin to clack, and you look down to see the pixie disappear in a flash of light. The door is pushed open, and you see Hieronymus. His expression is knotted in concern. He quickly looks around the room. You were just talking to someone.
I'll pick up my little hay horse that I'm in the process of making. And I'll be like, the horse, I was playing pretend.
And pretend.
I'm sorry. Do you want me to stop?
Just don't go insane.
I'll try.
Right.
When can I ask you something?
Yes?
Why did you stop them from experimenting on me? And why did you call me a special prisoner? Does that mean that you're gonna kill me worse?
He looks at you for a few seconds. No. I'm not going to kill you worse. You're going to be moved from this cell.
To where?
He just shakes his head and closes the door.
And when he leaves, when he's closed the door, can I look for the pixie in the hay?
Yeah,
to see
you
if she's hidden
search
in
the
there?
hay.
I'll be like,
And
Pixie!
a few moments later, she appears, though not within the hay, but on the back of your palm. You know, I should have a name. You mortals always love doing that.
You don't have a name?
Well, not that you can pronounce.
Hey, I can pronounce really good.
No, but that's okay.
Oh.
What should
Do you
you
want me
call
to give
me?
you a name?
Yeah, sure. Just pick something.
Do you like bugs?
I'm impartial.
Do you like trees?
I love trees. I have many
like
friends that are
trees?
trees.
What are your favorite trees?
I think that, and then she makes the sound of, like, a creaking branch, like, from windfall. That's the noise that she makes, and she says, he is a wonderful fellow.
I don't know how to pronounce that one, but maybe we could call you Creek?
Creek.
Creek.
All right.
Like the sound you just made to me sounds like a creak of a tree when they go like. But
this is why the old
usually-
men's of the woods don't like you mortals. It's so much more than a creek. But creek it is.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you. I think it's a really beautiful thing. Maybe we're just not too good at saying it.
No, I wouldn't think so. Well, I don't really have anywhere else to be, and I suppose you're right. A century can be a long time if you're going to die, so if you're going to die anyways, would you like to hear some stories?
Yes.
And she will sit down and begin to tell you. For you, it feels like a name babbling. You know, you don't recognize any of the proper nouns. She refuses to explain who these people are, just expects you to know everything that's happening. And it has been a long time. A very long time, at least 100 meals. The pixie Creek has come many more times, but she has little conception of the time that passes and doesn't really help you in figuring out how long you've been here. One day, though, Hieronymus tells you are to be moved. He led you through that horrid dungeon. You were smart enough to keep your eyes closed and your ears not listening. The rest of your journey was through a labyrinth, one which had been above your head all this time. Eventually, after walking down a long corridor of tree roots, he had opened a door into what is clearly an apartment. A bedchamber, a living room, and a kitchen, all in one round space that seems to have been grown just for this purpose. You will live here now. I will continue to visit you. This is a privilege, one which can be taken away should you violate what I have given you.
I'll look around. All of this is for me.
For now.
Why?
He just shakes his head and closes the door.
As he's leaving, I'll say thank you, even if he doesn't hear it.
Yeah.
I'll go like, thank you. And I'll look around. But very carefully. I'll not know if it's like a trap or... I kind of feel like a pig that's being fattened for slaughter.
Understandable, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like really hesitant. Like, is there any food out?
Yeah, you begin to take a look around. So there's a bed with 2 nightstands. Each of the nightstand has a glowing orb inside, underneath, like the shade. And there is a thin little eye cover placed, made of cloth, placed on the nightstand so that you can sleep despite those orbs always glowing a couple feet away from your face. In the living room, there's a large couch and 2 study chairs. And then in the kitchen, there's a bunch of dry food, rice, legumes, and grains. It is not much, and frankly, you're not the best cook. But there are oats, and with water provided from the pump, you know you can make oatmeal.
Is there a washroom?
No, there's not.
Is there, like, anywhere to shower?
Nope. No mirrors either, so you don't know what you look like at the moment.
Got it, but there's a sink with running water.
Indeed.
Okay, I will go over to the sink,
Mm-hmm.
and I will turn on the water to the very lowest, and I will take the edge of my finger and tremblingly run it under the water really quickly.
Yeah, it's cold. Very, very cold.
And it's water.
It is water, yes.
I will bring my finger up to my mouth and taste it. Does it taste like edible water?
It's very minerally. Like there's this biting taste of iron to it. But yeah, it's definitely water. It must come from some like cistern or reservoir or somewhere like deep under the earth because it's got a bit of a bit of wacky shit in there. But it is still water, as far as you can tell.
I assume I am like extremely dehydrated.
You are almost always starved and thirsty.
Yeah, I will then just bring myself as close as I can to the sink. I will cup my hands like a bowl, put my lips to the edge of my, like, where my wrists are, and just start drinking the fuck out of that water until my, like, belly is protruding, until I am stuffed with water.
Yeah, as you're drinking, you see something out of the corner of your eye, and you hear Creek's voice. Well, what are you doing all that for?
And I'll spit out the water. That man? I know his name, right?
Hieronymus, yeah.
Yeah. Renesmee just moved me to this room, and I'm thirsty. I'm really thirsty, and I'm hungry, and I have a bed now, and I have water, and I have food, I think.
You know, I once saw a little girl explode from drinking too much water.
My expression will drop.
Just kidding.
Are you actually kidding?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good.
But I did once see a little
explode.
girl, and then she just chuckles. Never mind.
Have you taken any walks around this place? Like, you hear things, right?
I don't walk, but yes.
Are they... Do you know why they gave me this room?
I think it's just that older one. The one who's balding, but is desperately trying to cling on to what little scraps of hair he has left.
Uh-huh. I know him. He's Hieronymus.
I think he's the only reason why, as far as I can tell.
But does he want to kill me?
I don't know.
Oh.
I doubt it. I mean, why'd he put you in a nice place like this?
I don't know. I feel kind of like a farm animal who's trying to get fat before they get eaten.
Ugh. You mortals and your expressions. What a horrible thing.
It's really sad.
Huh.
Do you know how to make food?
I don't eat.
Oh. You've never seen anyone make food?
I have made food for the purposes of poisoning people, but it wasn't intentional poison. Let's just put it this way.
You accidentally poisoned them while you were making their food?
Yeah, there was this group of, I guess you would call them older men, traveling through the woods here, and they were lost, and I thought I could be their guide. And then they thought I looked very tasty, and so that evening, when they began to do the cooking pot, I decided that I would kill all of them. But I didn't know the exact way, and so I just started grabbing things from the woods. I knew something in there would kill them, but I didn't know what. And it turns out it was a purple mushroom that did it.
Oh my goodness.
It was their fault for trying to eat me.
That is so cool. Yeah. Why would they try to eat you? I mean,
she does like sort of like a dance from side to side and says, "Well, why not? I'm delectable, aren't I?"
You're very pretty, but I would never try and eat you.
Well, they were very hungry.
That's just mean. Oh, I guess so. But still. I'm gonna try and make food. Have you ever seen anyone make food? I've never had to make food by myself before. Can you tell if they're poisoned?
I can tell if you're using... I know a decent number of the things from around here, but none of these are from the woods.
Oh. I will attempt to make oatmeal.
Your attempt is, well, you get the water into the bowl. The oats get submerged in the water, and then, a thought comes to your
Freezing
mind.
cold water.
Yeah, you have no way to heat it up.
Do you know how to heat things? Can you
She looks at
put,
you.
like, fire or something?
She slowly nods and says, "It'll take quite a while."
Yeah, it just don't like burn the place down or anything. I'll get in
Okay.
big trouble
And she
if anyone
walks over to the
finds
bowl.
out.
Her little finger alights with flame, and she just holds it underneath the ceramic bowl.
I watch.
We're gonna be here for a while.
Do you have any more stories?
I suppose so. There was once this boar, and it'll take a while for the oatmeal to start bubbling and boiling. And during that, she'll tell you the story of the Boar King. Not the Bear King, but the Boar King, who wreaked havoc through her homeland, and he became the size of a building before he was ultimately struck down by one of the old men of the woods.
Wait, how did he grow?
He just did. He ate food. He got bigger. For it, the pixie, it seems to make perfect sense. He eats food. He just gets bigger. That's just how it works. But you constantly ask her questions like, "Wait, but how did he get that big?" And he's just like, "I don't know. The board just ate and got bigger." Yeah, that's how that works.
What do you mean? He just picked something up. He ate it. He grew.
Exactly. And as the oatmeal finishes boiling, you start to eat in, and it's the first food other than gruel that you have had in. And then you realize you don't know anymore. At various points during your captivity, you've been almost certain about how long the total time you've been away from home is, but you just don't know anymore. You guess a year, but it can't be a year because you don't feel that much older. You're just not sure anymore. But then the door to the apartment opens, and Hieronymus steps inside. He looks tired. His balding hair is sort of like slicked back with sweat. And he says, "Sit." And then he sees that you're already sitting and says, Oh, perfect. And he sits down on one of the chairs. "Renesmee, your friend spoke much of you before she died, but I'd like to hear from you. Your life out there sounded far worse than in here, right?"
Respectfully, I quite liked my life out there.
He narrows his brow.
It's not that I don't appreciate.
That's enough.
Ever since.
And he begins to vent about work. He talks about how his boss demands too much of him, about how he's overworked. The type of work is horrific. He's going out to villages and kidnapping their male populations and bringing them back to have experiments done on them. And his boss is a horrible eldritch creature with antlers for eyeballs and a variety of other things. But he'll simply rant about his job for some time. And then
I will listen very intently, just like how I listen with the pixie when she babbles.
Yeah, and after
it's entertaining.
Yeah, and after 20 or 30 minutes of him just talking, he says, "I will bathe you and get you new clothes. You're wretched."
Okay.
And he stands up and exits the room.
I'll be like confused and kind of scared.
The pixie reappears on your shoulder this time and looks over and says, "Well, I suppose it'll be easier to be entertained now. If he comes here and rants every day, maybe you won't even need me."
No, I'll always need you, Cree.
Yeah, maybe.
You're like my best friend now.
Oh. Okay. She just sits down on your shoulder and sort of swings her legs back and forth.
Do you have other fairy friends?
I suppose so.
That's really cool. How come I never see them?
Most of us don't like coming this close or inside of Jagding Keep.
Oh, why?
There's just bad memories. When the Kaurul and the others first came here and established all of this, there was a lot of suffering, a lot of difficulty in getting our sides to work together. The family of pixies was not the only thing. There was a whole colony of brownies that were killed, a tribe of redcaps, 2 old men of the forest.
What are the old men like? Are they like grandpas?
Yeah, but not by blood. They're not actually my grandfathers, but they certainly act like it.
How many are they?
I think around 100.
Like 100 old men rule this forest.
Yeah.
Dang. And none of them have come to rescue us.
I don't think they ever will. They're the ones that made us work with Necromortis in the first place.
Oh. Is it bad to say that I don't really like them then?
I think that's fine. None of them can hear you in here.
Oh, that's good. Wait, like at all? They just can't hear us? Like it's like a secret, like there's like soundproof walls.
Well, Jegden Keep is very far away from where the old men spend their time.
Oh, I see. Hey, do you think I'll get out of here?
She just sort of looks at you. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know either.
Hieronymus will return about an hour later, carrying a large tub, just like a wooden bathtub, which he'll place next to the pump. And he'll begin to, with your help, he'll begin to fill up the bathtub, and then he'll use his right hand to what for the pixie was just this tiny little flame from the tip of her finger. For him, this like wall of flame exits from his hand, touching the surface of the water, and instantly the entire bathtub is boiling. And obviously, he says not to get in yet. And after a few moments, he will just go sit down in one of the chairs and say, "Wait until it's at the temperature you like, then clean yourself."
I'll nod and say thank you.
He just grunts.
How your boss is mean, right?
He glances up. Something like that.
Will you tell me more about the stuff that you do for work? I don't have a lot to think about, and it's quite fascinating.
Most of my work is not to be heard by you.
I understand.
And he will just silently sit there in a chair. You will bathe. It's very weird. He's just staring at you throughout the entire process, making eye contact. It's a very strange thing.
That's Hieronymus for you.
And slowly, over the next couple days, you begin to feel safer. Not safe, obviously. At any moment, Hieronymus could kick down the door. But there seems to be a routine beginning to develop. And, people love their routines. You begin to make oatmeal every morning. And then Hieronymus comes in and vents about work. Sometimes he brings a bath, other times he doesn't. But today, he brings a large bathtub, and you look at it, and in his right hand, he's holding a handheld mirror. And he looks towards you and says, "Would you like to see yourself? I'm sure it's been some time."
Oh. Maybe after my bath?
He shrugs. "I can't be here for the entire time. I have to go." So he just turns the mirror around, and you are appalled and intrigued. You have grown in height, shockingly high. You feel maybe a foot taller, or look a foot taller anyway. Your other womanly features have begun to come in as well. Your skin is dirty, though, and your pale complexion is marred with streaks of black, and there's this sheet of brown over everything. Even with your previous baths over the past couple days, it's a year of grime that you have to get rid of, and 1 or 2 baths hasn't been enough to do that so far. And you look... well, you don't look like you anymore. You have begun to change so significantly. Even your facial features have begun to change, and you are gaunt. Horribly gaunt. Malnourished so much that when you see your eye sockets, it reminds you of that necromancer that almost killed you. Your eyes are so deeply receded into your skull. But
can I pat my face? Because I imagine that when I pat my face, before then, I can't tell all the big differences.
Yeah.
But as I'm looking in the mirror, I'll pat my face
yeah,
again,
and you feel
my
your
eyes will go
yeah.
wide, and I'll look up at him and I'll be like, "Do you have soap?"
He shakes his head. "Maybe next week."
I'll continue patting my face, and then I'll be like, wow, I grew.
He pulls the mirror away and he says, yes, you have. And he puts the
Thank
mirror
you.
into his the folds of his robe and walks out. And you're able to bathe alone. Even the pixie doesn't come, and you aggressively try to sponge off layers of dirt. Without soap, there's only so much progress you can make, but by the end of your bath, since you know what you're looking for, the water is just like brown and mucky and almost like mud, which means, it's not on you anymore, so that's progress.
Yeah.
And since Renesmee has begun to sort of enter this new routine, you sort of brought this up with the pixie a little bit, but what is Renesmee thinking of her future at the moment?
I think that now that I've entered into this new routine, with the pixie, I wanted a friend, and I wanted to be like, you know, entertain, like have someone there, and it seems like the pixie likes to tell stories, and I'm more than happy to listen. So I feel like since Hieronymus seems to similarly like to tell stories, and the pixie hasn't left me yet, I'll think that I can do the same with Hieronymus. Like, maybe I'll be here forever, but at least if I can listen to Hieronymus and make him happy, then I won't get killed.
Yeah, so being trapped here is not the worst fate. Being like having one of their experiments done on you, that is significantly worse than death for you.
Yeah, like I would like to escape, but I haven't seen like a way to escape, and right now, with the way things are going, it's better to just comply, have Hieronymus like me, than do something stupid like try and come out of a locked door or like break out and then probably get like whipped and tortured and killed,
Yeah. Well,
not as exciting, but
as you're wrapping up your bath, Creek alights on the edge of the bathtub. She sort of splashes the water with her feet. You look different
now.
Yeah, I sort of thought the dirt was a part of you, like a galabdur or a troglodyte.
I don't know what those things are, but no, it's just dirt. I can wash it off. I usually don't look this dirty.
Oh. Well, you usually do, but...
Oh, yeah. I mean, before here, I don't eat enough, I don't think, so I'm really small, and I'm really dirty, and I smell kind of bad. Can you smell?
I choose not to.
That's a really smart choice, because I smell really stinky here.
When you're done with that, I have a present for you.
Actually?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll get out of the bath and I'll dry off. And
this time there are new clothes that have been provided for you.
That's fun. I'll try and figure out, like, as I'm getting dressed, I'll be like, is it a doll?
Nope.
Is it another story?
Kind of. But not exactly.
Is it... And eventually I'll get dressed. And I'll be ready.
Yeah,
okay.
And she will fly over to the bed and sort of land on it and say, well, this is a big moment. The old man is going to be awake soon, and you and I are going to be there. But we're going to have to go through a strange place. And then after passing through that place, you may think that I've freed you, but I don't really know how to explain it. Just fall asleep, and I can only do it once you're sleeping. She looks tired from the mental effort of even having attempted to explain herself at all.
Like, I'm gonna have a dream of the old man of the forest waking up?
Yes, but it's not a dream. It's real. It's just not here.
Oh. Like, but aren't dreams real? Not like real, but they're like real. Like you've really dreamed them. Is it gonna be
This is
like
what
that?
I mean. My brain's already hurting.
My brain's hurting too.
Just sleep.
Okay. Well, I can't just sleep like just like that. I need to calm down first. But now I'm excited because of you told me I'm gonna get a present.
She just sighs.
And I'll get into bed and I'll be so excited. I'll be wiggling my toes for the first like 20 minutes, but then eventually I'll drift off.
And the reoccurring dreams begin again. The reoccurring dreams for the entire time you've been here are hellish. You hear the screams of the tortured begging out for you to save them. You see Placentia sitting in that chair being devoured by fungus. It's probably not what actually happened to her, but it's what your mind has said has happened, and so that's now in your dreams. And then you wake up. You're sitting upright in your bed, and Creek is floating just in front of your face. Look down. And you instantly follow her instruction and jerk backwards because you see yourself. You are outside of yourself. You can see your face with a slight smile resting on the bed, and yet you are just not there.
This is so cool.
She nods. Yes, I know that I'm rather impressive. And she reaches out and says, but it's time to go. We need to be there in time. We have a strict timetable to keep to because you took forever to fall asleep. Don't think I didn't notice your toes wiggling.
I'm sorry. I was trying.
Yeah, that's fine, but we have to go. And she reaches out.
Can they hear us or see us?
Who?
Like the people out there, the guards and stuff.
No.
Okay.
She reaches out and touches your nose. And you feel like you're falling for just a moment, just enough to fully jerk you awake, and then you hit something solid. And you hear Creek's voice. All right, keep those eyes of yours closed. I don't think I could really explain what you'd be seeing. Better if you stay quiet until we find the old man.
I will peek my eyes open. But like, you know when you're like pretending that you're not looking, but like you just open your eyes like enough that it's still mainly eyelashes, but you can definitely do some stuff. Yeah.
You do peek out just a little bit. And you know what? She was right. You have no idea what you're looking at. They're all around you. There is this jade, or solid black flooring everywhere. Like the earth is just made of solid darkness. There's no leaves, there's no flowers, there is no wood, there is nothing other than this sharp, almost obsidian like black surface beneath you, and then a roaring gray sky above you that looks like it's stuck in a permanent storm.
So when I like tilt my face up as I'm pretending to close my eyes, I see like a storm, kind of like lightning.
Once you sort of fully poke your face up, you see several glowing objects. To your north, there is a colossal, towering man. He is made of gold. Flames burn around his feet. In his left arm, he holds a sword. In his right arm, he holds a shield. And there are thousands upon thousands, maybe more, of great tethers of light drifting up from the earth up towards this towering golden warrior.
I will just whisper very quietly to myself, like, wow.
Creek takes your hand, and she's never really, she's so small. And she grabs your hand and begins to bring you forward, and your feet follow behind her. And then she stops after a few moments. She looks up at you. You know she knows. Close your eyes. This could kill you.
Okay. What?
It could kill you.
It could kill me?
Yes.
Why didn't you start with that?
I assumed you would close your eyes like I told you to.
Well, I thought that you said that it would be too confusing for me.
Close. Quiet.
Oh, I'll close my eyes for real now. And now I'll be really scared. Like, oh my god, am I gonna die now?
You guys take a brisk walk.
I know that she doesn't like explaining things, and at first what she said was that it was going to be too confusing to explain. So I thought she just didn't want to explain shit to me. But now I'm scared.
You guys take a brisk walk. She holds your hand the entire time, her tiny little hand in yours. But then after a certain point, she lets go and then just begins to babble about some story, and you just follow her voice. And then, somewhat suddenly, her voice is a little bit deeper now, and she says, "All right, it's time to stop. You can open your eyes."
Okay.
You ease your eyes open.
Eyes. Yeah.
Before you is a towering and great thing of green. A dark, dark, verdant green that is translucent. In fact, it is about the size of a mountain. You can feel your neck craning up, trying to reach its peaks. There's no discernible eyes or mouth or really anything. Then you see everything else around the mountain. The surfaces are all Vanta black, the deepest of blacks with practically no reflection. The sky above you is slate gray, and you look downwards, and there's more of that Vanta black surface. There is no color other than the green of the mountain, the black of the earth, and the gray of the sky. No houses, no fields. And then you see out of the corner of your eyes Creek. She is no longer a inch tall pixie. She's a full-sized woman, as large as you, if not slightly taller. Her wings, rather than being small like hummingbirds, are graceful and large and elegant, like a butterfly. She wears a flowing dress, and a bow is held in her right arm. Her face is still the same, though, slightly coy. Welcome, Esme. That there is the old man of the earth. He's going to wake soon. Can you feel it?
Can I feel anything?
You try to sense something and just keep your eyes looking forward, and whatever she feels, you do not.
I'll look at Creek again and I'll go, "You're so beautiful."
Well, thank you. This is what I always look like, though.
I know, it's just so much easier to see when you're big.
She nods. And she says, well, we probably have a few more moments, but you'll have to touch the mountain.
Oh, will he be okay with that?
I think so.
Okay. And I'll very cautiously come up to the mountain.
Yeah.
And I'll put my hand on it.
Yeah, you reach out and touch the green, shimmering, translucent outline. It feels solid enough, and you place your palm flatly against it. For a moment, nothing happens, and you glance towards Creek. Then your vision goes white. You feel your body. You are slopes and cliffs. You extend for miles. Thousands of creatures live on you, nest within you. Your attention is scattered to thousands of different things at once. You see for many miles beyond your immense size. And above all that, there is a great exhaustion, a deep, 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 bone-tired level of exhaustion that makes even the slightest thought move through your mind like sludge. You feel your mind moving. There's a speck touching you. You strain to focus, a strain so mighty that you feel a great landslide crash across your southwestern bound. All your effort brings you to that speck, a young woman. You sense her pain, her desire, her offer. Just your focus will be enough. You pass a small piece of yourself into her. Then, Renesmee, your vision goes black. You hear something on your shoulder. It's a hand. Your eyes flutter open and you see darkness. Then you hear Hieronymus's voice. Renesmee!
I'll jolt.
You move the eye, like you take off the little cloth eye cover, and Hieronymus is standing there and says, "You're getting too comfortable here."
I'm sorry, I was just having a dream.
Breakfast. I'd like you to cook me breakfast.
Yes. Yes,
and
of course.
He walks over and eases down into one of the like study chairs and says, "The new clothes. They look nice on you."
Thank you. I really appreciate them. And I'll go and I'll try to mix up oats.
When he sees that you're making oatmeal, he looks over and says, "What are you doing?"
I'm making oatmeal. It's usually what I have for breakfast.
We have beans and rice.
For breakfast? Okay, yes, I will make beans and rice. I've never made beans and rice, but I will make you beans and rice. And I will grab the beans and I will put them in the pot and I will put the rice in with the beans because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And then I will just fill the pot up with water to like almost the top, uncomfortably high. And then I will bring it over to the table and ask him very kindly, "Will you please make it warm?"
Yeah, he just raises a hand, a gout of flame exits from his palm, and instantly the whole pot is boiling.
And I will, is there anywhere for me to like set it? Like a stove? No, a
yeah,
stove.
There is a counter, yeah.
Yeah, I'll put it on the counter and I'll stare at it and then I'll look at him and I'll be like, is there salt?
He looks over. No.
Okay. It's okay. It's gonna taste good without the salt. It'll be really good. I lied to myself.
Yeah, you will get nicely cooked rice because that can be done visually, but the beans will be hard as fucking rocks. They're gonna and that is what you will deliver to Hieronymus. Slightly soggy rice and still rock solid beans. And he will take a few bites, and it's the rice, you know, he's eating through it, seems fine, and then he gets a bean in his teeth, and you watch as he strains with all the fucking power of his jaw to crush it. And it does not crush. He looks at you.
I have fear in my eyes.
He takes the bean out of his mouth and puts it into the bowl. Puts it on the table. When I come back tomorrow, You will be undergoing cooking lessons. This is unacceptable.
I'm so sorry. I've never made beans and rice before, but
He
I will
stands
learn.
up and begins to leave the room.
And once he
And-
leaves the room, I'll be like, shoot, 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 shoot. And I will take the pot and I will bring the pot back to the counter and I will put a bean in my mouth and I'll try to bite it.
Rock
And
solid.
I must know swear words, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Is it the same as like English swear words? Like,
Close
fuck?
enough.
Okay, sure. And really, really quiet, I'll go, fuck.
And you hear, what does that word mean? And you see Creek sitting on your shoulder.
Don't repeat that word, it's really bad.
What happened?
He asked me to make him food.
No,
and I
not
don't
here.
know.
Back there, with the old man.
Oh, the dream. Well, I don't know what happened.
You need to sit down and think about it. You need to meditate. Have you ever meditated?
No, I don't know what that is.
Okay. She flies over to your bed and sits down in a sort of, crisscross applesauce.
Yep, I will just mirror her.
Yeah, and over the course of about the next hour, she'll tell you to just sit down, breathe in and out, think, and you realize that you know some things that you did not know before.
Oh.
She tests you. You now speak Druidic totally fluently, and you can read it. Then
Dang.
you realize that you can turn into things. You haven't seen a lot of animals at this point. Really only like cats and dogs, a couple of farm animals.
Those
And then-
beetle bugs.
Yeah, beetlebugs.
Easy.
And when Creek says, turn into a cat, your brain says, that's absurd. And then you hear cracking, snapping, and popping, and you are now a cat.
Can I, when I speak to her in cat, does she understand?
No, you just go, meow.
And then I'll go, oh my god, holy shit.
And it goes, meow, 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 meow.
I'll look down at my paws, and I'll bring a paw up to my face, and then be overtaken with the immense urge to start licking the paw and grooming.
Yeah, and Creek says,
And
no,
then I'll-
Renesmee. All right, think about being a human again.
I'll think about being a human, and when I come back, my hand will be right in front of my eyes, but without the urge to start licking and grooming.
Well, it seems as if we haven't quite mastered keeping a human mind, but I suppose that can be worked on. Okay, what else would you get? Oh!
That is so cool. Do I even know about, like, druids? I've probably heard of them.
Yes,
right?
the only druids you know about are the Deadwood Conclave, which live in these woods and do horrible things to people.
Creek, am I magical now?
Yes. Well, you were before. You see, I hate explaining things to you. I don't understand it that well. You must have had someone a long time ago who could do magic. It's in your blood. And so when the old man thought that you were worthy, your blood and his power, and boom, magic.
I'll look down at my hands and be like, wow. Creek, I
But-
might be able to get out of here after all.
Well, maybe. There is another thing as well. Now, this
Yeah?
one's going to take some focus, all right? I can do these differently than you. For me, they're just instinct, like blinking. But for you, it's going to take conscious effort. But she looks around and says, all right. She flies over one of the chair legs and says, all right, come grab this.
Okay. And I'll walk over to the chair leg and I'll grab it.
Yeah. And over the course of about the next 30 minutes, she will try to coach you into casting the spell Shillelagh on this wooden chair leg. It'll work. It'll take some time, and she's horrible at explaining it. She just does it like through instinct. So she'll be like, just think about it happening. That does not work. You have to like remember what the words are that was taught to you. And you are, as far as you can tell, at least a second level druid now.
Ooh la la. How
Ooh
do,
la la.
like, in magic casting characters, in their minds, how do they know what level they are? Did they just
It's
feel...
just that level is an arbitrary thing to describe the level of magic you have access to. So you have access to first level spells. So,
Got it.
yeah. And for you, it is purely instinctual, things that were basically given to you, like genetic memory, basically, that you just happen to know, and it takes very conscious effort to figure out, what do I know now?
Valid.
Yeah. So,
Well, I will be immensely just super duper curious about all of this, so I'll probably... Oh no, I can only go back and forth twice a day.
yeah.
Well, I'll probably do that. I mean, I've turned into a cat. Have I turned into anything else?
You can turn into a
Probably.
dog. You could turn into a pig and a walkbud and a bird. No, not
Maybe
birds.
I'll...
Those can fly.
Yeah, maybe I'll turn into a little potato bug. The one that was a roly-poly before.
Yeah. All right. Easy enough.
And, I just want to get some practice in.
Yeah, the routine begins. You and Crete every morning practice on things like this. You practice being an animal, you practice speaking druidic, you practice figuring out exactly how the spells work. And there's a lot of failed spells in there. You waste a lot of spell slots trying to figure out how magic actually works, and you make a lot of oatmeal. And after time has passed, and at this point you've essentially given up all pretense of trying to track how long it's been. It's been maybe months, maybe years.
Wait,
who's to
Archon.
say? Yeah.
Do I have my cooking lessons?
You did receive cooking lessons by Hieronymus, and he taught you how to make beans.
+1 beans and rice proficiency.
True. You're sitting in a study chair with a bowl of oatmeal. A couple of days ago, you asked Hieronymus to bring you spices. And a day later, he did. However, the bag he brought it in was stained with blood. And that regret of having asked for the spices to begin with is still sort of hanging over you. Then the door bursts open. Esme! Hieronymus has a frantic look on his face as he rushes in. His hair is further receded since you were younger. He sits down across from you.
Yes?
We need... you need to pack.
Pack? Is everything okay?
No. There's great plans underway. Plutarchus, it doesn't see the value in keeping you alive. He doesn't understand what we share. None of the others do. Therefore, we're going to leave. I already have it all worked out. It's going to be you and me. They want to... He sort of released a choked sob before continuing. They want to ruin you. They want to test the new plague on you. You would die, but it wouldn't just be death. It'd be far worse than that. I can't let it happen. I'm going to defect to the Empire. They have use for wizards like me. If I tell them where Jagdin Keep is, they could march in with a legion and slay all those bastards. So, pack your things. I'll be back in an hour. And without waiting for any input, just as quickly as he sat down, he stands up and jogs out of the room.
Oh my gosh. Do I even have anything that I can pack? What personal possessions do I have?
So, that's a good question. You have your clothes, a straw horse that you made several years ago and has heavily begun to wilt. There's the spices, the food, but there's the little cloth eye cover.
Yeah, do I have like a backpack or like
Nope.
a sack?
Nope.
Yeah, I guess I'll grab the spices and I'll shove some like beans in there. Maybe some oats and beans and spices.
Yeah. As you're doing this, Creep appears on the counter, sort of swinging her legs back and forth, says, "What's happening?"
Hieronymus just came in and said that we have to go.
Go where?
I don't know. He said that they're going to try and kill me now, and that they're testing a new plague, and that we have to leave now. Can you come with me?
Creep grows somber, and she looks like she's gonna cry. I wish you luck.
No, you can come with me.
I can't. If I go out into the world, who knows what might happen to me. Here I'm safe. I can live forever. I wish I could. I really do.
See, I'm sorry that I have to go. I wish that I had more time. He just came in and he just told me right now.
I'll live forever. We'll meet again one day.
I don't know if I can really hug you because you're really small and I kind of don't want to crush you, but maybe just really quickly.
She flies up and like splats against your cheek, her arms like fully extended, her legs spread out. She just like spread eagle splatted against your cheek.
And I'll give... How big is this straw horse in comparison to her? Can I give her a straw horse?
It's about the size of her.
Okay. A present for you to remember me by. You have 3 options. Number 1, a straw horse. Number 2, I will pull out a dry bean. A bean. And number 3, I'll take the sleeping mask. And number 4, You
You
can
said
have
there were
my
only
hair.
3 options. Renesmee,
Yeah, but no, there's 4. There's 4 options now. You can
I'll
choose
take the
one.
horse.
Please take one. The horse. It's really big compared to you. Can you take the horse?
She picks it up, and she's sort of like she's flying, and she goes to grab it, and then she's sagging a couple of inches, and she steadily and slowly falls to the floor. And she just looks up at you from the floor and says, "I got it."
I go to the kitchen and grab a knife and then take like an under part of my hair, a small piece, and rip it off and then give it to her and be like, if you can ever find me, please do. I'm going to miss you forever, Creek. You've been the bestest of friends I've ever had.
She nods, and she was trying to be tough, but now she's crying. She's just crying as she holds the hair.
I'm so crying right now. I've fallen in love with this little fairy.
And then there's the door opens. It definitely has not been an hour. Hieronymus is carrying 2 large luggage cases, and you glance back, and Creek is gone. And he says,
so sad.
"All right, we need to go now."
Okay, I don't really have much that I've packed, but I'm ready.
That's fine.
To go.
Let's just go then.
Okay, and I'll wipe off my tears and be like, won't they see us running around?
No, it's been dealt with.
Okay.
You fall behind Hieronymus, and your heart begins to beat. It doesn't feel real. It feels like a trick, and yet Hieronymus's expression didn't lie. You walk down that long tree branch corridor, and then down a flight of wooden stairs. Within a great corridor of stone bricks interwoven with roots that had cracked the stone, you continue forward. Hieronymus, of course, knows the way, but he seems just as nervous as you are. Then he stops at a wooden door. He takes a deep breath and opens it. Light floods inside, and you find yourself blinking back tears just to see. It is much too bright. You feel Hieronymus's bony hand on your shoulder, guiding you forward. "Just follow me, darling. We're going to make it." You place one foot in front of another, with no choice but to place your faith in him. A painfully long minute passes as you continue forward. The images grow no clearer as you blink away tears, trying to squint. You can tell you're walking on a cobblestone floor rather than dirt. You squint harder and begin to make out some details. Hieronymus is in front of you, a bony, pale hand extended behind him, pulling you forward. To your left and right are black-barked and leafless trees. You see undergrowth and foliage, but it is all decayed and withered. You are out. How does Renesmee feel in this moment?
Terrified and, for some reason, terribly sad. I think that even though she does want to obviously go home, the idea of, like, she's grown accustomed to this routine. And even in captivity, it's like the familiarity of that routine, of Creek, of Hieronymus coming home and just venting, it's been safe. It's been fine. She hasn't had to deal with the bad stuff. So now she's going on this adrenaline adventure, and she's really, really freaking scared, especially since, like, now it's the most risk to her life that she's felt in, like, quite a while under Hieronymus's protection.
Yeah. You look behind you at the prison, still squinting. You make out an ancient castle. Its withered stone has not completely collapsed. It is held together by a fusion with the surrounding forest. Black-barked trees, black roots, and stone all mixed together to make a towering edifice. As you squint, you see the walls. Skeleton, armed in plate, stand every few feet with glowing yellow eyes. They are staring at you. So
creepy.
You're in the heart of the Deadwood.
Nice.
And Hieronymus is guiding you forward.
Yep.
What do you do?
I absolutely allow him to guide me forward.
Okay. You guys move forward for some time. Slowly, the withered and decaying terrain around you changes into deep, deep growth woods. And after probably 2 hours, Hieronymus sits down on a log and begins to catch his breath. He is sweating profusely. And you realize, now that you're able to see him in the glorious light of a forest, that he's old. He's very old. He's like in his 60s. And probably older because of the dark magic through him. And he takes a few minutes, like when he's catching his breath, it sounds like wheezed and sickly. But he looks up at you with his dull green eyes, and he has a smile on his face, which sickens you. "We made it. By the old gods and the new gods, we made it." He outstretches a hand to touch your face. Do you let it?
Sure, but like, I'll, I'll like, he'll try to touch my face and I'll laugh for a second, and then I'll pull away and be like, Hieronymus, what's the plan? What are we going to do?
Well, we still have a long way to go. Now, I know you probably don't remember when you were brought here since you were magically indisposed, but this can be very dangerous. There are things in these woods. They will respect me, but they will try to kill you. So stay close, please. Once we get to the edge of the woods, you can relax. The Imperials will be kind to us. Once I offer them a defection, they'll be on their knees begging for what I know. You and I can find a nice shack out in the countryside.
And he just sort of stares out, and he just seems to be daydreaming a bit.
At the idea that this old dude just wants to live with me in the edge of a country, like thinking that like I actually would fucking choose.
Yeah.
I'll be like, internally, my feelings are like, well, why the fuck would he think that I'd ever choose to be with him? But, I'll nod and be like, yes. So we should get going, yes, towards the safety?
Yeah, yes, and he pushes himself up. If we're lucky, the spirit of the wood will spirit us forward even quicker than we're actually moving. Things are not linear here.
Why would they want to kill me but not you?
I have a pact with them, made in blood.
How did you do that?
He begins to walk and says, when my master came to these woods, he made a deal. He would sacrifice his humanity and the service of his coven, and in exchange we would become the allies of the Deadwood. They would spirit us to our destinations. They would not hamper us with their strange magics. All the denizens of the forest signed this compact as well.
They want to work with you towards a common goal?
Yes.
What is that goal?
To destroy the Empire and kill all living within it.
I'll stop walking and look at him for a moment and be like, why on earth would you want that?
Because it is evil.
The Empire.
Yes.
The Empire is evil. I'm sorry. Do you see where we just walked out of? They were going to kill me and you.
Jagding Keep is a place of civilization. It is a place of arcane learning, and I don't know where you think you're allowed to take this tone with me.
I'll look down and be like, I'm sorry, Master Hieronymus.
He just sort of sighs and continues to march forward through the woods. Your legs burn. Everything hurts. In 4 years, your greatest extent of physical activity was pacing your room. There just simply isn't the energy in your muscles, but your will pushes you forward. Your will and your hate. Every time you glance forward and see Hieronymus in front of you, your stockpile of fury is restored. He seems hopeful. He's no longer glancing back every few minutes to see if you're following, and you begin to get the sense that you're getting closer to the edge of the woods. Then, suddenly, Hieronymus stops. You've been walking for maybe an additional hour after your rest. Only 3 hours walk total. You catch up to him, and a wave of emotions pours through you. You see grass. You see a road. And most importantly, you see people. Perhaps a mile away from the edge of the woods, you see a farm. Men work out in the fields. Children play on the edge of the property. Hieronymus looks back at you. He is once again exhausted. His grimoires in his backpack. He is defenseless.
Darling, we've made it. I never really thought...
He trails off and looks at you. You can see a genuine expression of happiness on his face. You eat Hieronymus here.
Yeah, I was thinking he would...
How would you describe it?
Well, I thought that we were going to try and take camp.
He seems to have no interest. He's planning on flying right out into the field and meeting with the farmer and getting his immunity given by the Empire.
Oh my goodness. What did he say to me?
He said,
Darling, we've made it. I never really thought that. And then he just sort of trailed off.
You never really thought what, Hieronymus?
Well, I never thought that I would have gotten so lucky. I thought I would be alone in that keep forever. But you and I were going to have a life together.
At this time, my eyes will start welling with tears and be like, you never thought that you would be so lucky.
Yes.
To what? To find a defenseless girl at the edge of this forest that many years ago.
Well, it's not exactly like that.
What was it like, Hieronymus? What was it like when you kidnapped me?
You were just one of many. I didn't think you were special at the time. I couldn't have known. I thought you were just going to be given as fodder to the blight caller, or maybe given to one of the flesh sculptors.
Did you not think after all this time that you should apologize to me for what you did? Before
But why?
going on and building a life in your head with me?
I didn't do anything wrong. I was simply doing my job. I gave you everything.
Look at him with a look of just burning fucking hatred.
Yeah, he just seems surprised.
You are so stupid.
What?
I cannot believe that you think that you could just take a child from the edge of the woods and save their life and use them for all these years and not even bother to fucking apologize. You thought that you could just take me out here and that you could build a life with me like nothing ever happened?
Where is all of this coming from?
You are the reason I was in there in the first place, Hieronymus. What the fuck is wrong with you?
He just looks at you and says,
We should go speak with the farmers. They'll, we can work this out later. We need to get the immunity. A war is going to be coming soon, and we need to get the immunity dealt with before then.
Fuck, the way I imagined this in my head was that he was sleeping and I just ate him.
Nope, he's staring at you. He's alive.
Is there nothing I can do to, like, get him down? I'm just thinking, how weird would it be?
He's tired. He doesn't have his grimoires in his backpack. You know, he's not ready for a fight. In fact, he still seems confused, and he begins to take a few steps towards, like, exiting the woods fully and says,
We'll go down to that farm, talk to a farmer. He'll probably refer us to someone higher up. It's going to work itself out, and any grievances you have, I'm sure we can resolve them.
Hieronymus,
Yes?
burn in hell. And I will turn into a snake.
Yeah, you become a snake.
And I will lunge at him.
Yeah, a giant constricting snake. A pretty nasty creature. He is not particularly strong. He is old. He's tired. He doesn't have his grimoire on hand. And you will press in hard, break every bone in his body. The last thing he's able to scream before his lungs collapse is for mercy. And then you eat him.
Yeah, I would like to, I'd like to start at his legs.
Yeah.
And I'd like to
from the
crush
bottom.
his ankles. And then I'd like to break his leg bones and hear him scream and scramble for the grimoire. But by that time, I'm already around his thighs, and I've broken those bones. And then I've broken his hips. And then I'm making my way up, and I don't break his ribs because I want him to compress and not have breath in his lungs for as long as possible. And then, once he is finally dead, I will eat him, and I will then turn back into a human, wipe the blood from my mouth, and walk out.
You take your final step that brings you from the Deadwood back into the real world. Each further step you take feels less real. Years of your life flash through your mind. The cell, Placentia, that room.
When I stumble out of the woods, can I also just, in absolute disassociation of everything not being real, fall to my knees and just blood-curdling scream? The scream of agony of literally my whole life being ripped away from me, my friends dying, being tortured, having my childhood taken from me, having one person pretend or think that he was helping me, but actually just be using me for his own aims. Just all of that frustration, and having to leave Creek behind.
Yeah.
By the time you're aware of things again, you hear a voice, and you sort of look down. There's a man who looks like he was working on the farm, has a little, straw in his mouth, has a little hat over his head, and he says,
By the Almighty, are you all right, lass? Is that your blood? Oh, heavens. Let me go grab my wife. She'll get you cleaned up.
And as he runs off to go fetch his wife at the farmhouse, that is where we'll end the session. Renesmee had a tough time.
She definitely had a rough time. And that was an interesting way to kill him. The way that I had imagined it in my head was that we were taking up camp one night and he was all sleepy. Because I think that Renesmee would have been so scared. But she only had that like opportunity, so she must have she had to, you know, take her chance. She didn't want him to live.
Yeah.
He had to die before leaving. He was going to try and like political asylum, and now I'm safe, and we're going to live a life together.
Which, in hindsight, you know that the Galentine War started a couple years later. So he probably not only would have gotten asylum, they probably would have thanked him deeply because he could have helped them win that war quicker.
Disgusting. Except now, Harkon, you've broken my fucking heart with Creek.
Yeah.
I can't believe that I've fallen in love in an hour and a half with a little pixie that doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
You had me crying real tears at the goodbye.
Well, that's a W.
I'm so
Plus, she
sad.
literally lives forever, so you just have to go back to a wood, risk your life, and talk to her again.
I hope you know that you have unlocked a new mission that I will be going on for like freaking forever.
Well, that's good to hear.
Retrospectively, you have to inject this want of seeing Creek into our past campaigns, okay? Our past sessions.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good. Well,
all right.
Time to rewatch this like a schizo.
Well, next week we have our next main session. I'm doing Maximus's on Sunday, so next Friday we'll all be back. We'll resolve what you guys did during your rest between, you know, main missions. And oh yeah, and you're gonna have to level up, and you have like 3 months or something of downtime. We haven't worked out the exact time, but you're gonna have a bunch of downtime to do stuff with as current timeline Renesmee. So you can think about some things to put in there.
Woo! Thank you so much. It was so much fun.
Of course, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'll talk to you later.
And you definitely you balanced the creepiness of Hieronymus very well.
Yeah, that's good. The original backstory is...
Yeah. No, I feel you. He's real creepy.
Yeah.
But you did a good job of being, you got the creepy in without being too creepy.
I'm glad we're on the same page.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well...
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye. I'll chat to you later.
Bye.